Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Cape Cod is proud to support community TV and the Dukes of Sports. Some of the refreshing and satisfying products offered by Coca-Cola are Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Sprite, Fanta, Dr. Pepper, Moxie, Dasani Water, Powerade, Minute Maid juices, Vitamin Water, Fuse, V8, and Honest Tea. 125 years and still teaching the world to sing.
Kinlan Grover Real Estate sells and lists more property than any other real estate company on Cape Cod and is pleased to support community television and the Dukes of Sports. With 15 offices from the Canal to Provincetown, our experienced and professional agents get the job done whether you are buying or selling. We also offer summer vacation rentals and can assist in mortgage financing, serving the most buyers and sellers across the entire Cape. Check us out at kinlangrover.com.
Heritage Floor Covering located in Heritage Park off Route 130 Sandwich. When you look down, we look good. Carpet, vinyl, tile, and laminates, sales, service, and installation. 40 years of experience. Browse our spacious and extensive showroom. Cheryl and Russell are fully insured and offer free estimates. We sell the best and you pay less. 508-833-7600.
Hi there. Welcome to the Dukes of Sports. I'm Randy Lively with...
My name is Rob Vinciguerra, and I'm here this week helping out and giving my opinions.
Yes, Rob's going to be our pinch hitter extraordinaire, so we're getting his feet wet right away.
Away.
Andrew alleges that he's sick. I think what he's sick about is the fact that I crushed him in last week's football picks.
What did he pick? What?
He got the Patriots.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
That's what he got.
That's it?
Yeah.
He picked everyone? Well, you picked the Giants?
No. I said I crushed him. He was 1 for 3. I was 3-1.
Oh, okay. So was the Giants the game that you didn't pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was you picked San Francisco over New Orleans too, huh?
Yeah, well, he kind of forced me, but because I kept saying I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco beat New Orleans. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I like New Orleans. I said, fine, San Francisco then.
Uh-huh.
And he was a Houston fan. He's not big on Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And then the Patriots was obviously a
no-brainer. Well, that game, the Houston-Baltimore game, Houston outplayed them almost in every way. The turnover battle didn't go their way, but everything else.
Well, that's what killed them, though.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, what's his name? T.J. Yates, the quarterback, third string that was in. He had a lot of chances. Baltimore gave him a lot of chances.
Well, even near the end of the game, that Hail Mary.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Ed Reed, I mean, that receiver was there, ready to catch that thing.
I agree. And, you don't think of Hail Mary plays very much in the state of a football game. But we saw on 2 different occasions there were one worked and made a big difference, and one just missed and could have made a big difference too. That usually doesn't happen. I saw on ESPN the other day they had Eric Mangini, who was the coach with the Patriots, and then he was talking about the design of that play, and the Packers did it to a T. I mean, the Giants, and I never knew there was a design. I thought you just ran down the end of the field and they threw it up in the air, but not so.
No, apparently they practiced those things.
Everybody has a position to be in. And something else. So you're going to talk about our sponsors?
Oh, well, I could. I was just going to have some great Dasani water, which coincidentally is nicely provided to us by one of our fine sponsors, Coca-Cola.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
So, hey, know whose birthday it is?
No.
You don't? Muhammad Ali.
Oh, wow.
That was all over the news.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's birthdays today. It was Betty White's birthday. It was Michelle Obama's birthday. It's Ben Franklin's birthday. And you asked me, how do I know all that? Because it's Paula Johnson's birthday.
Our
so we went and looked
director.
online. Yeah,
we
went and looked online.
Yeah, is she still in her 20s?
She is, just like me.
Yeah, yeah. You wish.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Do you remember Ali? I don't know if he was Ali or if he was still Cassius Clay, but he actually recorded a song that got radio play.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, it's a song that's been covered by a lot of artists over the years.
Really?
If I tell you who I think was the original one who did it, you might get it. Benny King.
I know Benny King. It's not Blueberry Hill. I forget what song he did, but what's the name of the song?
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people. Good song.
But Muhammad Ali did that.
He actually did it, and it was, it wasn't just a lark thing. It got airplay on the radio and stuff like that.
The 60s or the 70s? When was that?
Oh, gosh. I can't.
No idea?
No.
I never knew
if
that.
it was more than 5 minutes ago, I'm shaky.
Yeah, me too.
But,
And so how old is Muhammad Ali? Do you know?
70.
70 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, too bad about the Parkinson's, though. Boy, that really...
did a job on
Yeah.
it. And you wonder about that, with all of the information that's coming out now about head trauma
the
and
shots
stuff
to the
like
head.
that. In hockey and in football. And
yeah, of course
pretty
it
much in
doesn't
every
explain.
sport.
Well, actually, Michael J. Fox was a hockey player, but I don't think he banged up too much.
No, I don't even know whether there's a correlation or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't think.
But Muhammad Ali stayed in there at the end of his career and took a beating just to get his shots in. And he paid the price, I guess, somehow in the end.
He's not the only one that has hung around too long.
Yes.
And that's a bad sport to hang around too long in.
It's true.
So,
Joe Frazier just died.
Yeah, that's too bad. Boy, they had some battles. Classics.
Yeah. That's, my dad was a huge boxing fan, from the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, there was, Marvin Hagler around here and Sugar Ray Leonard, who I did not like.
Me neither.
And Tommy Hearns. But then there was Randall Cobb and even Evander Holyfield. Before that, there was Ali and stuff like that, Sonny Liston. But it's just waned so much. I don't even know who's in the boxing game anymore.
Well, in the heavyweight division, there's those two Russian brothers that are still
really
kind of dominant. But yeah, I read a book not too long ago. It was about, I think it was called The Three Kings, the last great era of boxing. And you mentioned all three of them. It was Hagler, Leonard, and
Tommy Hearns.
Yeah. Oh, and actually it was four. They threw Roberto Duran in.
Yes.
And,
No mas.
Those guys, though, they had some great boxing matches.
I grew up in Canton, Massachusetts, and there was a little bar called the Coppersmith Tavern. And I don't have any idea why, but Marvin Hagler lived upstairs from the tavern.
Really?
And every once in a while he would come down and have a beer. And it was me and
No,
my
I thought
friends.
he was from Brockton.
He was from Brockton, but he lived in Canton. This is when he was fighting.
Really?
I
Well, it took him a long time
to get his shot.
to get big money.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he stayed with the Petronelli brothers.
Yes.
And he didn't play ball for a long
Yes.
time with Aram.
King or any of those guys.
And that hurt him financially.
Yeah. And he did quite well. And then there's some people that I know from Canton that still know him. And he still makes movies. He makes spaghetti westerns in Italy. He lives in Italy.
He went. Yeah, that's where he retired to. And he's been there for a long time
20
now.
years now,
Yeah.
I bet you.
You see Marvin speaking Italian.
And you know what's a funny thing about it? He was a small guy. He was not that. I mean, you could tell he was powerful.
Well, yeah.
But he wasn't a big you always imagine fighters being big. He didn't look that big when you walked up to him.
Well, he was in a lower weight.
Yes.
He was a middleweight.
Middleweight.
And they're not supposed to
So
be.
do you know weights? What's a middleweight?
Oh, God. They've got so many weight categories now. Now they've got junior middleweight. They've got super welterweight. I mean, it's like every 5 pounds is a new weight class.
And I never quite understand now that all these guys have 4 or 5 belts.
Well, that's because there's so many of these.
And they can go into all these different classes, and it makes it confusing to me.
It does. And, but it's all about the bucks because you got to pay these guys, sanctioning fees. I mean, those, the 2 big ones, I think the WBA and I can't remember the other one. But, one was based in Panama. The other one was south of the border as well. And they were the most corrupt things going.
Yeah.
It was a joke. And, if you played ball with them, your rankings would go up, that type of thing.
Yeah, and you'd get to certain shots. You'd get fights. The fight game has always been like that, you know what I mean? It's got a political element. It's got a money, Las Vegas element to it.
Well, it's the same thing with that boxer from Chelsea. He was briefly one of the heavyweight champions.
Johnny...
begins with an R.
Yeah, not Rodriguez. Johnny Ramone. I remember him.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah.
But same deal, until he played ball with those guys, he wasn't getting no title shots.
Yeah.
So, but we digress.
Yes,
but that's okay. we do that all the time. This is, the Cape Cod's #1 sports talk show, right?
It is.
Probably the only one.
I believe it is.
Yeah, you go. But nevertheless. But it's funny with football. I'm thinking of the Patriots Denver, and it turned out to be so easy. Although the Patriots only scored 10 points in the second half, they left a lot out there.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it goes to show you that you can't take 1 week and draw any conclusions, because Denver beats Pittsburgh, #1 defense in the league.
Yep.
Tebow looks great. I mean, he burnt them repeatedly with long passes because Pittsburgh was too stupid to get away from having 9 guys on a line of scrimmage.
I agree.
But you think it would occur to him somewhere along the line.
I agree.
But he has a fine game. They beat Pittsburgh, exciting game in overtime,
Yep.
He comes to New England with, the last ranked defense in the league.
Second to last, yep.
And for most of the game, I could have completed as many passes for as many yards as he did. For a while, I think into the third quarter, he had 3 completions for 28 yards.
Well, yeah, because Tom Brady had 6 touchdowns, twice as many touchdowns as Tebow had completions.
Yeah, but by luck, I think we could have completed 3 passes for 28 yards.
You just threw it up there.
Yeah, go get it. It makes logically, to me, no sense whatsoever that he could be so good 1 week against a much better defense and then stink. And I'm not sure that the Patriots defense got that good.
Yep. Well, they get healthy.
Just because they had a bye week.
They're healthier. There's Spikes, who's a run stuffer. And then they brought Chung in, who is definitely their best tackling safety. And then they decided to put McCourty back at safety because he's a good tackler, but he has been having a hard time covering anybody.
Yeah, as opposed to last year, his rookie year. Weird,
but the biggest thing to me is that Belichick already played him 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I think that helped.
And he realized how to attack that spread offense.
That helped the Patriots a lot more
And then he
than
had 2 weeks to prepare.
Broncos.
You know what I mean?
Well, but the last time they had a bye, they lost.
I know.
But you're right. I think that one game against the Broncos soon really helped them.
Did you happen to see any of the, it's called It's a Football Life. It was about Bill Belichick on HBO. You should see it.
Don't get HBO. I don't make the big bucks like
no, but you
do.
can go. No, but I don't. I watched it online. You can watch it on YouTube and stuff like that. There's about 10 episodes, and it's from that year, the year that the Patriots lost to Baltimore in the playoffs. And there are interviews with him, and the camera is right in the training room, and when he's talking to Tom Brady. It's a wonderful show. They let a guy just come in and run a camera right in with him on a daily basis. He was back at Giant Stadium in the locker room by himself, talking about Lawrence Taylor. It's a wonderful show. But anyways, through that whole thing, he kept saying he had no confidence in that defense that year, that they just weren't doing what he wanted them to do. He kept saying it. And this year, I think that for as bad as they've been coachable, and there's people that have stepped into roles, like Edelman and Slater playing in defense and trying to get people healthy. I think he's more confident this year in his defense than he has been.
Yeah, although I'd hate to be hanging my hat on Slater and Edelman out there.
I agree.
I mean, they only started this mid-season, and it was like almost by necessity.
Yeah.
But it does show you, remember Troy Brown years ago.
This is going to be the test this week. With Ray Rice and them being able to run the ball like they can, those big tackles that Baltimore has.
Yeah, well, Houston did a good job for the most part, except for one play late of shutting down Rice.
Yeah.
But Houston's, I think, got a hell of a lot better defense than the
Patriots.
Patriots.
They do. They're like 2 or 3 in the league too. And they were. I didn't. I haven't really seen much of them, but I was kind of impressed.
But they, I was impressed that the Patriots really got after Tebow.
Yep.
Because on our Facebook page, back on Friday, I posted something that nobody paid any attention to. It said, the Pats are going to T-bone Tebow. And I just hit T-B-O-W.
Yeah.
And they pretty much did.
They did.
He might have had 1, 2.
They really
but
took the life out of him.
But they sacked him, I think, maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
And they got to do that against Flacco. Because he's not the greatest quarterback in the world, but the Ravens are certainly a team that proved it a few years ago with Dilfer.
Yeah.
That you don't need to have the greatest quarterback in the world with their defense.
He can hoist the ball up there better than Tebow. He can throw a pretty good long. He can throw a pretty good long ball. He can dump off to Ray Rice. The screen game is going to be big.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of, was it Bolden?
Yeah, Antoine Bolden. Yeah. Who's been hurt in his back.
Yeah, and they had a good game. He had a good game.
Yeah, they have some people.
He can go get the ball.
Really can. I'm not a Flacco fan, but I've seen him get it done. You know what I mean? I think the last time they played the Patriots, which wasn't a playoff game, I believe he played really well.
I think the Patriots won it, but just barely.
Just barely. That was the time where they were in field goal range or something like that, and they needed a touchdown. And a guy, his name was Clayton, dropped a 4th down pass.
Okay.
At like the 10-yard line. The first down was right in his arms.
Oh.
And he dropped it, and that was the end of the game. They needed to get a touchdown, and that was like with a minute left. I think that was last year.
Well, a minute left is a long time.
Yes.
In a football game.
And they were at the 20-yard line. You know what I mean? They were in field goal range, but they needed 4 or 5 points.
So at that point, if you've got a minute left, time really is not a factor.
Not an issue. Boy, wasn't that something at the end of the half? When they just, the Patriots.
They put the hammer down.
Well, there was the wind, which created the bad punts from Denver. They could only get it to about the 50, 45.
Yeah.
And they just rammed it down their throat 2 or 3 times. And it was,
it
was 14-7 after Denver scored, after the interception, and it was pretty close. And then boom, 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 it was all over.
But again, to the Patriots' defense's credit, that one short drive was really all Denver could do. They had one lousy field goal later, big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how the heck they did it. I don't know where that defense came from, where it's been all year.
Well,
I mean, there's been a few games where they've shown some flashes, but not that many to get me confident.
And what I'm hoping for as a fan is that, for a fan of the Patriots, that it's coming together. You know what I mean? That they're gelling and that it's working. We'll see. We'll see on Sunday, whether that's really true.
It should be a good game. Hopefully the right team, of course. New England will win.
Yeah.
And now, do you have a preference?
Well, I was going to ask you, who do you want to play? If, and we should knock on wood here, if we do get in, who would you want to play?
Well, part of me says I'd love to have a rematch with the Giants.
Yeah.
Because the Giants beat them this year in Foxborough.
Yeah.
It's been their last loss that they've had.
And then we don't want to talk about that other Super Bowl.
Plus, I just don't like Eli anyways.
Yeah.
And
A lot of people feel that way.
Well, it's just because his name is Manning.
Yeah.
But by the same token, San Francisco really intrigues me.
They're a tough team.
And I was quite shocked. I wasn't surprised that they won. I was surprised at how they won. I didn't think they'd give up as many points as they did, even to New Orleans. And I sure didn't think they were going to score as many as they did.
I know. Well, what was the score? The score was like 17-14 with about 6 or 8 minutes left. And then all of a sudden, it was score. Even 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, they went crazy.
In the matter of about 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think 4 lead changes in less than 5 minutes or some silly thing.
New Orleans, they should have won that game, in my opinion, for a couple of reasons. But I'm not taking any credit away from San Francisco because they won the turnover battle. What I mean by that is that if New Orleans played a cleaner game, just like if Houston played a cleaner game, turnovers is such a big deal that they, probably would have won. But I was, from the first get-go, I don't know if you saw it, New Orleans was driving down at the beginning of the game, and they're like on the 5-yard line. And I don't even know whether it was a run or a pass, but it was their back, Pierre Thomas. And the safety came up and clocked him, and he was out on his feet, that guy. And I said, wow, San Francisco really...
He never came back to
They never came back, and not only that, but they could hit hard. And all I think about is a game where, because this is how I felt about the Giants-Patriots Super Bowl, they beat the heck out of them. And I always think of poor Wes Welker, who's skinnier than me, but about my size, going up against these monsters and getting beaten up really quick, and he always bounces back. It's amazing. But a tough team kind of scares me from the Patriots' point of view,
Yeah, well, San Francisco, they had 5 turnovers that they got.
Yeah.
They didn't convert it to many points.
Nope.
Which you would think would come back to haunt them. But with the 5 turnovers, as you alluded to, that was enough to stop New Orleans from scoring a lot more than they did.
Yeah.
But they're not to be taken lightly.
No.
And so I have mixed feelings. Do I want the revenge factor with the Giants, or to have somebody who hasn't been there in a while, and hope they're not quite as good as we think they are.
I had somebody say to me last night.
I'm going to pick the Niners over the Giants.
I had somebody say to me last night, they said, I'd really like the Giants because I'd really like to play them in the Super Bowl, but I don't want to lose to them. So I'd rather have San Francisco.
Yeah.
I couldn't take losing to the Giants.
Well, I don't think playing San Francisco is any gimme.
No, neither one. What's amazing to me is in this year of the quarterback, with Breeze and Aaron Rodgers, and even, Stafford from Detroit, and Brady throwing up all these yards, all those quarterbacks are gone except for Brady.
Yep.
There's only one offensive team left. The rest of them are basically defensive oriented. The Giants are pretty evenly matched, but the other 2 teams are definitely defensively oriented.
And I think, I hate to admit it, but Manning probably has had his best year.
Yeah.
His interceptions are way down.
Yeah.
So you got to give him credit, but that doesn't mean I still have to like him.
Mm-hmm.
And But I wouldn't put him in a Brady category by any means.
What he's learned how to do is quarterbacks learn this after a time. He's learned pocket presence now. He's learned how to step away from the rush like Brady does and keep a play going, even though he's not a fast guy or a runner. It seems like quarterbacks that really take the next step forward, they learn how to do that. They learn how to keep plays alive with their feet just enough to get the ball off. And all of a sudden, I remember in the past he would throw these lame ducks,
Yeah, I think
he's not doing that anymore.
I think he's gotten. You just took the words out of my mouth that he's gotten smarter and not throwing stupid passes that he shouldn't. And maybe he even sometimes, as much as you hate to have it happen, a sack is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
it beats an interception.
Yeah, or a throwaway is what you should do. But
yeah.
I know, and he's learned how to do that. I also I like their receiving core. The tight end, I don't even know his name. I think his name is Ballard. But Nix and Victor Cruz, who's this young kid that's come out of UMass, is a UMass product, undrafted, and I saw him play against UNH. And if you ever want to watch some pretty good football, UMass has now stepped up to Division I. There's some pretty good football players that come out of those schools, and he's made an impact. He's
he's not to be trifled with.
He's
the real deal. And, the Patriots got a former UMass guy too, Ehedebo.
Yeah, that's right too. That's right. From the Jets.
Yeah, but this is maybe his 5th, 6th year.
Yeah.
He's never been a starter.
No, he's always been a special teams player, but he played more than I thought he was going to last weekend. I saw him out there quite a bit.
Well, he's been in there a lot because of injuries.
Yeah, and he's a big hitter.
And he's, a safety type.
Yeah.
But, I got a chance to see him play back when I lived in Western Mass because I did a show similar to this, and we would get press passes from UMass.
Wow.
So it was great.
Just switch the subject. What do you think about UMass becoming a Division I football school? Stupid. And why? They can't compete?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, see,
UConn has.
Well, there you go. That's the reason they're doing it, is because UConn has made that
proved
leap.
It can be done.
Yeah.
But I don't see that they've got. I'm surprised that they'd allow it. The facility
is not up to that.
It's an okay stadium.
I hate to say it, but if they can do it nowadays, it's a way of a college making money.
Oh yeah. Well, it's got to be about the money.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of sad in that respect.
Because the basketball team. See, there was a number of years where that brought in good revenue, but
my brother went to UMass, and he was there when Dr. J was there.
Oh.
Dr. J was there 2 years, and I think my brother was a freshman that year. And my brother played high school basketball up here in the eastern part of the state, but he never he painted intramurals and stuff like that. But I've heard some stories about when Dr. J was there way back when.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But since then, and then there was the Calipari area with Canby and Lou Rowe and all them, and they were great.
Yeah.
But they weren't very honest. It looked like at the end,
Yeah.
I hate all that stuff.
Bruiser Flint took over.
Yes. Whatever happened? Is that when you were there when Bruiser Flint was there?
Yeah, he was. He's with Drexel. He's been there ever since he left UMass.
Really?
In Pennsylvania.
He was a pretty good coach.
He was a hell of a nice guy.
Really?
Hell of a nice guy. Because this is going back a number of years, but I was doing a radio show, sports, the same deal. And Bruiser was one of these that didn't think he was the cat's meow. Like a coach they had afterward, they hired Steve Lapis. He came
I remember
from
that.
Villanova.
I remember him too, yeah.
Oh.
He thought he was the world, world beater.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Who's there now?
Kellogg, I think, one of their.
Oh, one of the. He used to play for them.
Yeah.
I remember him. Derek Kellogg.
But Bruiser was so down to earth, like a lot of these guys wouldn't give you the time of day.
Yeah.
Bruiser drives up to the station. It was in Greenfield. Now that's not a long ways, but it's, at least a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Drives himself up. because we had no money. We didn't pay nobody nothing.
Yeah.
Brings his dad with him and sits down, spends an hour with us.
Wow.
Just down to earth, super nice guy.
And how is, I know the school, Drexel. How is that team? How is he doing?
He's doing okay.
Okay.
I mean, he's,
Yeah.
Whoops, forgot to shut the phone.
Wasn't my phone, folks.
No, it's only a text.
Oh, gosh.
It talks to me.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, I mean, he's won, got a winning record.
Yep.
Most years he wins more than he loses. And he's from that area. He's a Philly boy.
Yeah.
Anyways, but he's, you love him if you ever had a chance to meet him.
Really?
It's just like he would sit down here and chat with us.
Yeah.
Just one of the guys. And he didn't have himself.
I remember that Lapis guy. He had the slick back hair, right?
Oh, he was terrible. You go to the press conferences, because we got to sit courtside at the basketball games.
Wow.
And we were there one time when they beat UConn, when UConn was #1 in the country.
Wow.
And we were like, because the students are ready to go nuts.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, look, they actually had security people behind, basically to protect our asses from getting run over by the kids.
Really?
And, but Lapis, when you go to his press, and the nice thing too about going to the games, they feed you. You go to basketball games, you get fed. Hockey games, football, you sit in the press box up, out of the weather.
That must have been great.
And it was good food too.
Yeah.
My co-host and I used to say we'd travel anywhere for food. But
I would agree with that myself.
but Lapis, you go to his press conferences, boy, you better not ask any question that
Really?
even hints at being negative. Oh, he does not react well.
Where is he now?
I think he's flipping burgers at a McDonald's. I don't know.
He must be. He's the kind of guy that always lands on his feet, I bet you.
Well, if he's coaching, it's probably at some low-level school. You don't hear his name anywhere.
Background music. So
let me shut this. Hey, you were talking. We slid into basketball.
Yes.
You want to? Sorry, Nikki. That's my daughter. Turning you off. Celtics. I only have 2 words. They suck.
Well, I'm holding out hope. I'm a huge Celtics fan, and I'm starting to see the handwriting on the wall. If I see it, I'm sure Danny Ainge sees it.
The worst thing that happened to them was the strike didn't last long enough.
That's right. They needed that camp in the beginning to get together.
Well,
they didn't even have a team.
Who's he going to trade?
Well, he can't. Well, he 2 expiring contracts this year, Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Now, probably, I wouldn't doubt if Kevin Garnett retires. I don't know. Maybe he might go to a winner and be a backup. I don't know if that's in his DNA. I can't be surprised at that. I think Ray Allen, he's the highest scoring player on the team right now. He's averaging 20 points a game. He's second in the league in 3-pointers. He still runs off picks like you've never seen anybody do.
Oh, yeah. Can he play any defense?
Well, not as good. He never was a defensive player, and he's still, not the greatest, but he's still an asset. The thing is Rondo is good. You just don't know what you're going to get from night to night. Last night, they played against Kendrick Perkins' team there, OKC, and I think he missed 10 layups. He's in. He does all the work to get in there, and it spins out. And he's just he just.
I don't know. I'm just concerned that team is getting old. They've traded away a lot of young players.
Yep.
For older players, and old isn't necessarily bad, but old also means slow.
Yep.
And in my mind, a foot.
Yes.
And
that's all it takes in basketball.
And I think basketball is such a dumbed down game. I would watch college basketball any day.
Really, I can't watch very much college basketball.
Because I just get sick of a free agent guys, 6'10",
Yeah.
7 foot. Not a starter, okay?
Yeah.
Averages,
Yeah.
4 points a game, 2 rebounds.
Yeah.
And that's probably worth about $8 million a year.
Yeah, I was going to say $6 or $8 million.
And I thought, can't they go out on the street and find a tall guy that can get 2 baskets
You would
and
think.
a couple of rebounds
I know.
just by being on the court?
You
And
could
I
probably
bet you he'd play for a lot less than $8 million
Well,
a
you
year.
could probably-
Can't make free throws, can't defend.
You could probably go to 3/4 of the Division I or Division II football schools in America, in college, and find a tight end that can rebound almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're used to going up and getting the ball and
Gronkowski.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You would think, maybe not.
But, the other sad thing is, where are the basketball players going? Because, and I'm sure you've heard the same thing. You got the draft.
Yep.
You've got the 12th pick, say. And they're saying, well, we don't think we can get anybody really to help us.
Yeah.
There aren't 12 players and all the schools playing Division I,
I know.
let alone the other divisions,
I know.
that could help
I
a
understand that.
team.
Doesn't make any
Something's
sense.
wrong with that, but they're still getting paid millions of dollars to be lacking in basic fundamentals as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
And because they all coming out of school after they go for about a month, and they decide they had a good month, and they decide, okay, I'm going to go pro now, and
Well, they do that. I mean, they're doing it for the money. If you're going to give them the money,
Yeah, the
they're going to
owner-
come out and do it. And,
well, no, the owners have nobody to blame for them but themselves.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, the game has gotten dumbed down. I mean, I grew up watching
the Celtics right out of that.
Cousy
Yeah.
and Havlicek. It's
Yeah.
Casey Jones and Sam Jones. And,
Me too.
Later on, Dennis Johnson and,
Yeah.
Heinsohn. I mean,
They were teams.
yeah, they could put 2 teams together. They could beat pretty much anybody playing today, I think.
Well, because they say that the talent now is not nearly as good, not nearly as athletic. But explain to me how a guy, this is all he does. Every day he goes to the gym and he takes foul shots. He does it, 10 months a year? 12, he does it 5 days a week. That's what he does. And he's a 60% foul shooter.
Well, I don't think they go and shoot every day. Maybe that's what they should be doing.
They don't practice
But what are you going to
fundamentals.
do to these guys? They got guaranteed contracts
Yeah.
for obscene amounts of money. And what's the coach going to say?
Well,
Hey, if you don't do this, we're going to fire you.
Well,
that
that's
ain't happening.
Well, that's why
And even if they get traded, they don't care because they're still getting their money.
the reason I still like the Celtics is I do like Danny Ainge's approach. He doesn't sit still, but I love Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is able to tell
Nice guy.
those guys. He's a nice guy.
Good dancer.
And he's I think he's real. He's not phony, but he also is able to tell those guys, you're not playing well. You're not doing what you're supposed to do here. And he's able to tell them that. And I think that if moving forward, I was so happy last year when he decided to re-up. Because if he didn't, I didn't know where this was going to fall.
I know, they probably
like a house of cards.
They'd probably be like 4-8 or
Yeah.
4-9 team if he didn't re-up.
Well, and the thing is well, that's what they are. But next year they're going to have a lot of money, and I don't like this either myself. I don't like where the player now picks. I don't like the owners either, but it doesn't make for good basketball. But the whole thing isn't conducive to team play.
Oh, yeah, they kind of negotiate.
But I think that you can find teams that still do that. I've seen a couple times over the last week the Indiana Pacers, Larry Bird's team, and they got David West, who's the guy that the Celtics really wanted, and because he's a rebounder and a banger. But they
Got
have
to
a
see him
team.
play.
There's only a couple of guys that are. There's no superstars. There's no Kevin Durant. There's no LeBron James, who I can't stand. There's none of that. But they have 8 or 10 guys that are really cohesive, and I think that that's what's going to win. That's what happened last year. Once again, the Mavericks ended up having a cohesive unit, and LeBron James dried up like a prune in the playoffs.
He sure
and
did. It ain't the
lost
first
again.
time it happened.
And as I get older, it's almost like I don't care anymore whether the Red Sox win as much as I want the Yankees to lose. And the same thing with the Jets, and the same thing now with Miami. You know what I mean? And the Lakers, the same thing. It's just.
But it seems like, and I think you hit it there. Like these players, if Belichick was a basketball coach,
Yeah.
they could never play for him because, granted, there are superstars on the Patriots. Brady, Gronkowski's turning into one.
Yeah.
But not many.
No.
But they play as a team. And I'm not sure you see that a lot in basketball. And I think the more publicity you have, the more money you're making, like a Carmelo Anthony and stuff.
Perfect
I don't know
analogy.
that he will ever blend
No.
into a team.
Because
the key thing is they used to say, well, maybe they still say it, is do you make the other players around you better?
That's right.
And perhaps that was one thing that Michael Jordan was able to do.
He was. I mean, he had some great players around him, but he made them great. He made Phil Jackson who he is too.
Yeah, I think what he did was he made good players better players.
Well, that's Bird. That's Magic Johnson. And the other thing is that how well you play when you don't have the ball.
Yeah.
If you can't have the ball all the time. You have to rebound. You have to play defense. You have to play smart. I mean, Belichick in football, situational basketball, coming out of bounds plays. You know what I mean? You think about that play with Larry Bird and Dennis Johnson against the Pistons back when he stole the ball. You remember when Larry Bird stole the ball as he was going out of bounds? Unbelievable play. But Dennis Johnson was right there to receive that pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't even. You got to be a thinking man's player, and I mean, there's people that can do it on sure will to a point, but a good team will beat, a superstar 90% of the time.
Yeah, and I don't think, we're seeing a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not just picking on the Celtics.
No.
I'm talking league-wide. And, there's nothing more that I can't stand in a pro game when the final score is 78-73.
Yeah.
And you will never convince me it's because the defenses are playing so good. They just stink.
Well, they turn the ball over. And then you get into the refereeing too. But I don't even want to go there.
That can't be holding a score. I mean, there's no way guys making that kind of money with supposedly that much skill are that lousy.
But see, what they do is they all go to one side of the floor and down low. They can't go in the paint because it'll be a defensive 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's one-on-one. Carmelo Anthony on the wing. He bounces around 6 times, does it behind his back, and he throws the shot up, and it's an air ball. And every once in a while he gets one in, and he scores 27 points. But he took 45 shots.
Yeah, and he might have shot 35%.
You know what I mean? That's what's ridiculous.
Well, plus they're firing up threes like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's 3-point shots and dunks.
That's what it is.
A lot of that. They ought to move that 3-point line, if they want to have it, way back.
Yeah.
And get basketball play. I mean, I played basketball when I was a kid.
Me too.
I wasn't good.
Yeah.
But I was competitive, but I was scrappy.
Yeah.
And, when you have a liability in terms of lack of natural talent, you have to make that up somewhere else.
Yes.
And, either on defense or how often now do players shoot and follow their shot in?
They don't.
Once in a while you see it.
Well, I mean, but that's an analogy like Doc Rivers. If you notice, his teams are always lowest in the league in offensive rebounds. They were when they won it. They're absolutely horrific this year. He doesn't want that. From a defensive coach's perspective, get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, stop the fast
we're going
break.
for a good shot. If Pierce or Allen has a good shot, that's the best we could do. We're hoping it's going in, but you have to go back and defend. I'm not a complete believer in that. If you try to get position, if you have position, go for the ball, because you're inside the defense.
Well, plus, if you're the shooter,
yeah,
you kind of have the best,
knowing where it's going to go.
best angle on that ball.
Yep.
And I'm not saying necessarily everybody has to be there.
Yeah.
But again, when I was a kid, this is stuff. If you didn't do, you didn't play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that you didn't do was when you didn't have the ball, you didn't just stand around and wait for it to come to you or hope something nice was going to happen. If you didn't have the ball, you better, on offense, you better be moving.
Well,
or else you're going to be sitting.
If you go look at old Celtics, I'm talking 60s Celtics, which I was a huge fan. I grew up outside of Boston, but I had a lot of family in Boston. We used to go. My cousin used to use a giant vacuum cleaner and clean out the garden and Fenway Park when he was a kid.
He vacuumed Fenway Park?
Yeah, they had these big vacuums that used to suck up the trash.
Oh, and the
after the
stamps.
games. There were a bunch of kids that used to do that. But they used to get in, and I used to go. I was a lot younger, and I used to get in sometimes too. But watching those, they never stopped moving. You know what I mean? The trick is to get your man to come up to you and then you pass, the three-man weave. None of that anymore. Everybody stands on the outside. The two, the power forward in the center are on the corner of the lane. They go up and down. That's it.
Yeah, plus how many times, too, in a pro game, do you see a guy like a Durant, say, just drive right down the middle of the court? It's a setup offense, not a fast break.
Yeah.
And he splits four guys. How can that happen? Now, again, when I was a kid, that wouldn't happen. Or you wouldn't be stupid enough to try to do it because you were going to get whacked, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But different times, different games. But I think the game just ain't as good as it used to be.
My brother was a huge basketball person. He can't watch basketball much anymore. I don't know whether he watches college. Sometimes I watch college games, the Dukes and North Carolina, and I like them all. It just seems like there's the haves and the have-nots.
Yes.
And you think of Pitino and Calipari, and
well, that used to be nice when I would get to go to UMass games at the Mullins Center, because you get to see other teams.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, David West. Well, you got to see David West.
He was Cincinnati, right? Is that where he played? No, where did he play?
Temple.
Temple. Oh, wow.
And
for John, what was his name?
Oh, Jesus.
The coach there.
Yeah.
He had the run-in with Calipari there. Remember that?
He threatened to kill him.
Yeah, John. I remember him.
And Jameer Nelson played there.
Yeah.
And so.
And Delonte West played for, and Jameer Nelson played together at Dayton? No. One of those schools that's in UMass's. So are they in a different conference completely now? Or are they still in the same conference?
I think they're in the same, Atlantic 10 maybe.
Well, Atlantic 10.
But
is Drexel in that?
No.
No, they're not.
No. They're in I think a similar type of conference, but.
Down that way, down.
Yeah, they're not playing each other.
New Jersey, West Virginia.
Plus, there's a lot of schools in Philadelphia, too.
Yeah.
But
big basketball area, that area.
John Chaney.
Yeah, John Chaney.
That's
name
the
of them,
coach.
that was St. Joseph's, where Delonte West and Jameer Nelson came from.
But did they play together?
They did. They were a backcourt.
Really?
They were like that year that they were there. They were almost like number 2 and number 3 in the nation going in the NCAA.
But it was fun because UMass's teams weren't all that. But you got to see occasionally some of these other guys.
Fun to see.
Like some of the UConn players. Villanueva was playing.
Was that UConn? Did you have UConn? So you did see UConn all those years then. They played them every year, didn't they?
Some
years.
Some no. And you saw BC. Yeah, back then BC was pretty good.
They're always, every 5 or 8 years.
They'd be in a top 25.
Yeah. Was that Billy Curley or was that after that?
Around that time,
Yeah.
yeah. And, UMass, those years couldn't compete with them. But, hey, we don't have a lot of time left. We're
going to do those. You want to talk about football?
Well, I just wanted to ask you about Red Sox
okay.
and Bruins briefly.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Red Sox off-season moves?
Well, I
Such
guess
as they
they've
are.
taken a different tack. They're not spending money.
No.
They just heard that they invited Jason Varitek to camp, and they just signed Salter Lamacchia for a 1-year contract. I thought they had it for a couple of years. He was a free agent. I didn't know that. Well, we'll see. The Yankees now have made some moves. Texas, the Angels, a lot of people have made moves.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think if their pitching's going to hold up?
Well, what I like is they are signing everybody that they can get their hands on to minor league contracts.
Yep.
Now, some of these guys are damaged goods.
Yep.
They're coming off injuries, stuff like that.
Yep.
But I kind of like what they're doing because they're stockpiling, and I'm sure a lot of them ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
Some may end up in Pawtucket unless they demand a major league contract.
Yeah.
But, last year they had no help out of Pawtucket.
No, well, they gutted the system there to get Gonzalez,
Yeah.
and
So I like, because I'm a believer in there's no such thing as too much pitching.
yes, I agree.
Because somebody's either going to get hurt or he isn't going to perform the way you thought they would. Now, hopefully, Buchholz is going to come back healthy.
Yeah, hopefully.
That'll be
That's a big one.
a big plus.
Yeah.
So if they can find, out of all these guys that they're signing, if they can find a couple, and if Bard makes it as a starter,
I know.
which I don't know if he will or not. He ain't
Well,
going
so
to be
you
throwing.
think you got Beckett, and as much as I love his tenacity, he's kind of arrogant sometimes, and we'll see how he comes out of this whole thing with Bobby Valentine
Yeah.
and the beer and chicken thing. Buchholz, we're dependent on him, huge. And Lester, I think, is pretty steady, although Lester didn't have a great year either last year for
Well,
him.
he was doing pretty good until September when they
Yeah.
all went in the crapper.
I know. Daisuke and Lackey, they're completely on the shelf for the whole entire year. I don't know, GM.
Well, I don't know if is Dice still? He was out all last year, pretty much.
Yeah, I think they said it's going to be June or July before.
really?
Before he even
Yeah,
comes
Lackey's
back.
gone for the year.
I don't know. I've heard that Bard needs another pitch. He needs to be you have to have 3 pitches to be a starter.
Well, yeah,
They
and
can
he
develop
ain't going to
that.
be able to throw 97 miles an hour for 7 innings either.
But they also lost Papelbon, which is
Yeah.
a lot of people took Papelbon for granted. He was underneath Mariano Rivera. He was the guy since
Except for
And as far as the
He's stuck
pitching,
in September, too.
as far as pitching is concerned, pitching being the key, for all those years, every year since I was a kid, we always had hitting. And finally, when we got Pedro and Schilling, and Derek Lowe came in, then we started to be a team to be reckoned with. We need pitching.
Yeah, but I like that they're
They have the lineup.
trying.
They have the lineup.
And I'd like to see another good right-handed bat.
Bat for right field.
And I'd like to see, another thing. Euclid has broken down 2 years in a row
know.
late in the year.
I know.
Somebody, in case that happens again.
Well, they got rid of what's his name? The guy that was backing up at shortstop.
Jesus,
He was hurt. For
Laurie.
Laurie. They got rid of him. So I don't know whether did they hire? Did they get somebody
they got
for a
guy,
backup shortstop?
Nick Punto.
Oh yeah, Fry. I know him. So he's
Do ya?
pretty good.
Go say hi for me. But
But does he back up third base?
I think so.
Okay.
But I think that was the other thing with the bench last year. I think their bench could be deeper.
Yes.
And, when you get a guy, even an outfielder coming in, I don't want some guy that's hitting 200 for you.
Yeah, I know.
Even if he's a hell of a nice guy.
Well, I understand that, but
So I'd
what
like
they
to see a stronger bench. another right-handed bat and just keep loading up on pitching. And
what they say, though, is
if you throw enough against the wall, some of it's going to stick.
But last year they had no problem scoring runs all the way to maybe at the very end. But it's a great lineup. If Ellsbury plays like he did, if Crawford can do half of what he should have done.
It's hard to think Ellsbury can do any better.
Yes, he can't.
Crawford has got to do. He can't do worse.
Yes, I agree.
So there should be an upgrade there.
Yes, I agree.
But I still like to see the depth in the pitching and just I think the core is there.
Yeah.
I think you just got to fill in and fine tune.
I just think that the AL now with Texas and Tampa Bay is still better, they say.
Oh, yeah.
The Yankees just made 2 huge moves. They got really upgraded their pitching staff. They still have Rivera. You know what I mean?
Sooner or later, he's going to get old.
When is that going to be? I've been waiting for that for 5 or 6 years.
He only got 1 pitch.
I know.
You pretty much know what it is. What is it? 90% of the time.
Yeah, I know.
You know what it is. You know what it does. He still can't do. It's amazing he's gotten away with that.
It's true.
Real quick, Bruins so far.
Well, they look great. Like the last couple of games, they haven't looked that great.
Well, they won yesterday.
But I am so impressed. They talk about it being strong up the middle, and I know Thomas and Rask are really good, but I absolutely love Patrice Bergeron and I love David Krejci. Both of them are.
How about Sagan?
And Sagan too, but I mean those 2 centers there, they just they play fundamentally so good, and I love them.
So far, what I'm taking is I think they have better balance offensively.
Yes.
Which I think is key, because you get to the playoffs, it's easy to shut down one line.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I would hazard a guess. For my money, they got the best goalie tandem going.
Yes, they do.
Defense is solid. I think their biggest problem maybe is getting complacent.
Yes. That's the way they've looked the last, they won last night. The couple of games before that, I thought that they did look complacent. But, I like, even the coach there, a lot of people before they won didn't like his way of doing things. But
they're a fun team to watch.
They're a fun team to watch. I love watching them move the puck.
I found myself with a lot of sports, so many teams make playoffs except for football.
Yeah.
I watch anybody play football.
Yeah.
And but in hockey and basketball, a lot of teams make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I start paying more attention at the end of the year, but I find myself watching some regular season Bruin games. I might not catch the whole game, but a good portion of it, which I haven't done in a long time.
Did you happen to watch the Vancouver game against who they played in the Seth? Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
It's that's hockey for you. It's I say this all the time. I am always so excited in the Boston sports scene that our teams are relevant. All of them. They're all relevant. You cannot win all the time.
No, we're pretty lucky where we are.
Well, yeah.
And maybe the Celtics will at least get competitive.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't have.
I'll make a prediction on that. I think that what they're doing, I think Doc Rivers is too smart. He's getting them into shape. This is a crazy season.
So you think that he's
Dwayne Wade is out
like
indefinitely now. He just hurt his ankle. None of them have had a camp. This is their camp. They're going to go into February and they're going to start to find their groove. And I think they're going to end up to be a 3rd or a 4th seed. And I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs.
Okay.
Will they win? I don't know. But I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Then after the year, we'll see. I think that after that, I think changes are going to happen.
Well, if he doesn't, if he makes the same mistake they made, what we were talking about before, and they let that team
go.
You let Pierce, Garnett, and Ray Allen all go in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And there's nobody to replace them. It's going to be lean for a while.
Well,
so I need your Super Bowl pick.
My Super Bowl pick?
Well, all right. Well, it's going to be the Patriots, right?
Yes. Well, it's the Patriots. Definitely.
No, what are your picks for this weekend?
My picks for this weekend is that is really hard. And it's not really hard for the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to beat Baltimore pretty good. I think that they're up for the task. As far as the other game, I don't know. I guess what I have to say is I have a hard time picking against the Giants.
Okay.
I really do. So I think it's Giants-Patriots in the Super Bowl.
All right.
I think it's going to be close.
Well, I'm going Niners. Patriots.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we both agree on that.
How can you pick against the Patriots?
You can't.
But hey, they're not giving you any reason not to pick them either.
I agree.
I mean, if they can play the way they played last week, I don't think it matters who they're playing.
That offense is just fun to watch, isn't it?
Well, and like I said, the defense finally. I mean, they did it maybe against the weakest playoff team.
Yeah.
But at least they did it. You know. And maybe that'll give them a little self-confidence, but hopefully not overconfident.
Yeah.
And the same deal. I think they just got to get after Flacco, make life miserable for him.
Yep.
And I would put Edelman out there and let him be, or somebody, pay a whole lot of attention to Ray Rice.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough one. He's
not so much to run him, but once he gets out of the backfield, I don't know if you want a linebacker covering him.
I totally agree. But who is that? You know who that might be? That might be Chung.
Maybe.
That kind of a player. A little bit more speed. But the thing about Rice is he's like a bowling ball. He's hard to bring down. He's a little guy, but he's built like a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
If he has a great game, then they're going to be hard to beat, I think. It's all rested on Ray Rice to me.
Yeah. But hopefully Belichick learned from a couple of years ago.
Well, in Bill we trust.
Because they embarrassed the Patriots in that game.
Oh, I know. And he never forgets stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Thank you very much.
Hey, well, thank you. It was great to have you sitting in here, and I know we'll be seeing you from time to time as the weeks and months go on. And we thank our great underwriters. Please pay attention to them and their fine businesses. And Jen, for taking care of us in the booth. I think she's there still.
She's still
not
there.
off? Oh, yeah, she's there.
Thanks, Jen.
So, hey, we'll be back same time, same place next week.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see. Have a good week, everyone.
Have a good weekend.
Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Cape Cod is proud to support community TV and the Dukes of Sports. Some of the refreshing and satisfying products offered by Coca-Cola are Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Sprite, Fanta, Dr. Pepper, Moxie, Dasani Water, Powerade, Minute Maid Juices, Vitamin Water, Fuse, V8, and Honest Tea. 125 years and still teaching the world to sing.
Kinlan Grover Real Estate sells and lists more property than any other real estate company on Cape Cod and is pleased to support community television and the Dukes of Sports. With 15 offices from the Canal to Provincetown, our experienced and professional agents get the job done whether you are buying or selling. We also offer summer vacation rentals and can assist in mortgage financing, serving the most buyers and sellers across the entire Cape. Check us out at kinlangrover.com.
Heritage Floor Covering located in Heritage Park off Route 130 Sandwich. When you look down, we look good. Carpet, vinyl, tile, and laminates, sales, service, and installation. 40 years of experience. Browse our spacious and extensive showroom. Cheryl and Russell are fully insured and offer free estimates. We sell the best and you pay less. 508-833-7600.